Better.
Got it. And beat drop. I didn't even hit record on this.
Oh, man.
Take two.
Pretty good clap.
The people don't know, but I had 5 warm-up claps prior because I didn't hit record on the thing. Glad I noticed that right away.
Do you practice clapping?
I'm getting better.
You are getting better.
I think I'm just learning my hands more.
Yeah, it's, they're new hands.
These little mitts.
They're new.
37 years of practice with
these. Are
these
you 37
things.
years old? That
Yeah.
doesn't seem real.
88. I'll be
That
38.
doesn't seem real at all.
In a good way or a bad way? You could say in
It
a
doesn't
bad
have
way.
to be good or bad. It just doesn't seem real.
That's fine. Shout out to the sponsors.
What's up, buddy?
How are you?
What are you doing? Just getting used to your hands?
I thought I got a sponsorship the last episode,
You
so
do.
I wanted
I gave
to
that
have
to
it
you.
here.
I gave that to you for free.
I got that and the caffeine one. Trying to cut back though.
I'm doing the caffeine now, and then I'm going to do that one later because it has no caffeine. That's why I like the options. You know?
I see. How are you?
Great. It's the first time. That's actually like a legitimate how are you? Because we
Yeah.
haven't talked. I'm doing great.
That's it. You were away for a couple days. You're back now.
Oh.
It seems to be like the common theme. So I don't know if every episode we have to be like, Rob's back.
I do travel nonstop.
Yeah.
I leave tomorrow.
You leave tomorrow, and then what I realized just now or a little bit ago is you won't be here for next week's episode. So watch out.
Wow.
God knows what I'm going to talk about.
What?
I might pull Drew later this week.
Drew leaves next week too.
Yeah. So we'd have to record this week.
Oh, wow. All right, fine. Have fun without me, boys.
Yeah. Maybe me and Gage just dicking around in here doing soundboard
Gage is
stuff.
colorblind. We just found out.
Yeah. Kind of sucks.
Yeah. He didn't even know until just now. He's disabled.
Oh, he's got a mic. He's dying to talk now.
I'm not colorblind. I'm just dumb.
I'm not colorblind. I'm just dumb. Don't be so hard on yourself, buddy.
Oh, man. All right.
Yeah, man. Holy shit. No, it's I was away this weekend for a couples mastermind, which seems lame, but actually was really cool.
You're in
you hear
Cabo,
that?
right?
Yeah, you hear couples mastermind, and like I instantly go to like, oh, I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
But it was actually really, really good. Like, I won't go too far into it, but it's crazy how so many of the lessons in a relationship like work just in business.
Like everywhere.
Yeah. Like I think two the big words were like making your spouse feel important and making your spouse trust you. And not trust like, oh, are they cheating on me or like whatever, but it was like trust in like, if I take this risk, I'll make sure everything's okay. Will I show up consistently, all that. I was like, yeah, it's all the same stuff with a brand.
Yeah.
Like the more you trust a brand, whether it's seeing their logo over and over or consistent colors or knowing what their quality or their sizing is going to be like, or if the service is always going to show up, it's like, yeah, the more you're going to utilize them.
Yeah.
But if they do things that you don't expect and they're inconsistent with sizing or shipping, or you can't get a hold of their customer service, you don't trust them and you don't want to work with them. I think the same thing with making the customer feel important. Like how involved can they be? What's the community aspect look like?
Yeah.
All of that. I was like, it's all the same thing. And then the other big thing that we really covered is like the more that your relationship isn't firing on all cylinders, like that takes up space in your brain and then takes you away from work. So it was cool, man, because there was a lot of like really highly driven people that want to make every aspect of their life different. So I actually really enjoyed it. I put on 15 pounds.
Okay. Do you want to talk about it?
Do I want to talk about it?
It's been like the hot topic so far this morning.
It really has. I tried to eat well. So I'm taking this 3 weeks. The challenge starts next Monday. So this comes out Friday.
Yep.
So the challenge starts Monday. So I'm taking 3 weeks to just sort of really pay attention to what's going on with myself. And, one, I realized that I don't eat enough or I overeat. Mm-hmm. And this was my first like traveling trip where it was like, I can't prep my meals, so I'm eating at a taco place. And I tried to make really good decisions. And if I wasn't paying attention, I would have came back and said, hey, I made really good decisions.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it was steak, but very, very salty steak, and maybe not the best quality steak. And I'd pair it with a taco, and then maybe have a couple chips, but not enough where I thought it was an issue. But apparently it's an issue. I looked at the scale, and holy moly.
Was good? Do you feel fine? I mean, you don't feel 15 pounds heavier, I'd imagine.
I kind of do.
Really?
Yeah.
Just like sluggish?
I kind of feel sluggish. I'm holding a lot of water from flying. It was a big travel day. But yeah, it was good, man. It was good. Now I leave tomorrow.
For legends.
So when this episode comes out, the Daniel Mack guy, you know him, that says like, hey, nice car. What do you do for a living? You know that on Instagram?
Yeah.
Talking to the mic. You have a microphone now, buddy.
Yeah, I know who that is.
I like how he leans into the
I feel like I'm
microphone.
about to sing a song or something.
Well, Austin doesn't go on social media, so
Yeah, I
but
don't know
it's
this
his
guy.
car rally. So he's on Instagram. He does a really good job, but he walks up to people with nice cars. And he's like, "Hey, really nice car. What do you do for a living?" And people
Okay.
are always like, "Don't talk to me,"
Yeah,
or whatever. So it's his car rally, and then there's a bunch of influencers on it and stuff like that.
What car are you going to have?
So we're working or being sponsored by Arizona Trucks, or I'm sorry, liftedtrucks.com, liftedtrucks.com, or ArizonaLiftedTrucks.com. So everyone's driving supercars, and we're driving a super truck.
TRX.
So I think a TRX. I think our TRX. So they're in the process of building it right now, which needs to be done by Thursday. So they're doing a really big build. So it's cool because there'll be a bunch of, I mean, I saw a bunch of the cars. There'll be a bunch of like 500 horsepower cars, and then I'm going to be in a 700 horsepower truck. And doing rallies before, I mean, you've been on some kind of rallies, but like we did the Porsche 911 rally from Vegas to North Carolina. And I say rally, but it was just like two of us.
It was.
We had two cars.
Yeah.
So I shipped my two cars down there. And then after the year Dana came in second in Olympia, we drove to my brother's wedding.
That was September 2014.
Yeah. And
10 years ago.
in 10 years ago, holy moly. And in my head, that was going to be like, this is the sickest ever. And like on day 2, we had 5 hours to drive in a little tiny 911. And it was like, this is no longer fun. So there's a part of me that I know everyone's going to be jealous on like day 3 when we're driving to Vegas.
Comfy.
And I'm just sprawled out. Maybe Dana's like sleeping in the back seat, but I think the TRX will be really, really rad.
Those are rip.
Yeah, they're rad
I
trucks.
drove Singerman's home from Mar-a-Lago when we went to
wild trucks.
the party, and I was like, I don't even want to drive this thing. But it's cool.
Well, that was tuned too.
Yeah.
So that
It was like I got on it as soon as I got on the highway. I was like, I should chill out. It's
Yeah.
like 1 a.m. I'm coming home from a Christmas party.
I don't know what this thing's going to do.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. So I'm doing that for 3 or 4 days. Start in San Diego, drive from San Diego to Scottsdale, Scottsdale to Vegas, Vegas to Zion. And then we leave from Zion to meet my mom in Cabo for her birthday.
Hell yeah.
So taking my mom to Cabo.
3, 4, 5, 6. Learned that last episode.
Yep. So taking her there, and
That's our first time there.
it's her first time there. Yeah.
So seeing the house and that whole thing.
Yeah, and I think also like we don't really travel together like that.
Yeah.
Like I do little trips, but my parents have convinced themselves that they don't like to travel. You know, it's kind of like an old person set in their ways thing. They're like, I don't like to travel. I just want to stay in Montana. And then, you know, you take my dad to Alaska and all he talks about is the Alaska trip.
Yeah.
So my mom's kind of the same way. I'm excited to take her down there and then just like blow the doors off for 4 or 5 days.
That'd
and,
be
like,
sick.
have her do everything, like side by side through the Baja, and like go out on a yacht and get massages and just really, really treat her. So yeah, it's going to be good. And then I'll be back here.
For a little bit and then back again.
You know, it's a wild year
This
for me.
podcast should just be like Rob's schedule over everything.
I don't know, man. I say this a lot, but like I want to see what I can get out of life, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the days where I come back, like last night or even today, like, yeah, the workload is crazy. But the same thing, I want to see what I can get out of myself from a performance standpoint when I'm here, while I'm on the road, everything.
I think it's forcing everyone here to be like efficient with time too.
Yeah.
Like I knew yesterday you coming back, it's like, cool, today's not the day to try to cover anything or make any big decisions. And then today, first thing when we saw each other, how you doing? What's your schedule look like today? Because it's like, cool, how can we maximize the time that we're all here
Yeah.
to get the most out of it so that it doesn't need to bleed beyond everywhere
We're being a lot
else.
more intentional with time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Same here.
So how are you, buddy?
I'm all right. I'm moving into my office.
I see that. You got stuff hanging up.
It's all temporarily.
It's toys.
It's
It's toys. You hung up toys and flags.
collectibles.
Collectibles.
It's all kind of just up on like that rafter right now because I'm getting a TV mounted and I don't want to put shelves on the wall until the TV's up and all.
How big TV are you going to get?
I went 65-inch.
Oh, wow. So bigger
Wasn't
than your
very
office.
expensive. Yeah, the TV's so big that when I went to pick it up from Best Buy, they were like, "You're gonna have to come back." We couldn't get it in the car, so I'm gonna have an issue with Best
You didn't
Buy
take
later
your
today.
truck?
I took the Explorer because we were like running errands with the baby and all.
Oh, okay. First mistake.
But then Best Buy also claimed the order as picked up already. So when I go there today to pick up the TV, they're gonna be like, "You picked this up on Sunday." I'm gonna be like,
So you're
gotta-
gonna bring your Philly heat.
"Well, I'm just gonna have to be like, we gotta check the surveillance footage here, roll the tape back to see that the two young men came out and we decided that it just wasn't gonna happen today."
Wow.
So yeah, I got 65-inch, and then we'll finish moving in and feel at home.
It's bigger than you.
It's a big TV.
No, but like
The TV?
you're not 65 inches
Yeah,
tall, are you?
Well, math on the spot.
Gauge?
5 times 12 is 60 plus that. It's like I'm 2 inches bigger, but according to my license, I'm 3 inches bigger because you can just make up your.
You lied on your license?
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
Yeah. Gauge, is that?
No. I lie. I guess when I
You
first,
said you were 3 inches, so I could.
no, not 3. No,
When I get my license, I can just say I'm 6'6".
no. I said I was 1 inch taller than I am.
Why would you do that?
I don't know, because when I went to get my license renewed 2 weeks ago, she was like, "Are you still 5'8"? And I was like, "Yeah." Well, I wasn't gonna change it then. It was like, "Are you still?" So like a past version of me maybe had white lied on my ID.
Were you
height.
wearing your platforms when you got measured?
I don't remember.
'Cause you have those platform shoes.
I don't even remember being measured. Because then it wouldn't be a question, right?
Huh.
Like when you go to for a license, they don't weigh you and measure you,
No.
so you can just kind of.
Say whatever you want.
Is it lying?
Yes. So when there's a fact and then you give something other than the truth.
It's like a white lie.
No, that's how lies work.
Well, what I mean in reality.
So like
I know we're off topic here.
here's I think a white lie would be like you being like,
You look
hey,
nice today.
How does my beard look? And I'd be like, it looks great. And then Gage and I look at each other like that. And but what that's sort of a white lie, right? Like it's a very mild lie, like it's subjective. Like some people, maybe your wife thinks your beard looks great, but literally knowing how tall you are, and then when someone says,
I
how
guess.
tall are you? You just give a completely different number.
At some point, I did.
Okay.
At some point, I told them 5'8". This time, I just agreed with it. So like I lied a little bit. Also, like shouldn't they actually weigh and measure you? Because what if like I went and not that I'm gonna.
I'm very curious how you
robbed
do
a
your-
bank today,
Wow.
and they were like, "Oh, the guy was 5'8", and I'm like, "Yeah, but on my ID, I'm only 5'6". Like they should fact check that. This ain't on me. This podcast ain't about me. It's about Flag Near Fail.
All right. You have to be faster with the buttons because
I don't know where they're all at
as you
yet.
like pause and look, it doesn't have the same
I
impact.
give options. That's because I haven't had time to sit down and map that out.
What have you been doing?
You know,
No, I'm asking. That's why I asked.
What
No
have
white
I-
lies either.
what have I been doing here?
Actually, let's hear it.
we did the flannel sale.
Uh-huh.
We just have a lot of like back end stuff going.
Oh,
Is that
big
what I can
back end
say?
guy.
We're setting up for March. We're gonna have a productive March
Okay.
and
Back-end
February,
stuff.
and then
we're doing back end stuff.
Yeah,
Gage.
we projected the scale at 84% growth for Flag Near Fail this year,
And we're hitting them.
A lot of back end work.
We're hitting the numbers.
Yeah, so far
Look at
pretty
us
happy
go.
with it. We're going there.
Remember that time in the office when I said,
This is gonna come up for the rest of my life.
yeah, it is.
Go ahead.
So I laid out, Gage, you weren't there for that, but there's this really pivotal moment in our relationship
Oh,
with this guy over here. And I laid out the numbers for this year of the goals that we are going to hit. Okay. And he was like, we can't do that.
What's
I don't even know what that one was.
You were quick with it, though. You were quick with it. And he was like, that's not possible. We can't do that.
We're probably changing the
Okay, what
wording
did you
a
say
little.
then?
I don't remember.
He just knows
But
that
I can't just go based
he just
off
knows
of what
that
you're
what I
telling me
remember
said.
is wrong, right? It's kind of like his height. Like, I don't know. It could be any height. We've established now that we can't trust this man. He's untrustworthy. Where's your
yeah, that's the
untrustworthy. So he's untrustworthy. So we'll just go by my version, right?
We go your version.
Yeah, because now you're not a credible witness. You've already perjured yourself. Like, you're off the stand. It's me now,
done.
right? So the client, or the defendant, right? The defendant. I laid out the goals for this year, and he was like, "We can't do that. It's not possible to hit them." And I was like, "Well, that's what I want to do this year. Like, I want to hit these numbers. We're capable of hitting them. Let's hit them." And he was like, "Yeah, but like, I don't think we can do that." I was like, "Hey, man, I was quiet then."
Yeah, because it was definitely we were both feeling out.
I'm growing up as a leader, and what I wanted to do is like call him a pussy or something, right? And be like, "Get out of my office." But instead, what I did is I took a deep breath because I'm an adult now. I don't know if you knew that about me.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that I'm an adult, I took a deep breath, and I don't remember if it was like within the same conversation or whatever. Oh, it wasn't the same conversation because he was like, "We can't hit those numbers. Like, we can't do that. We can't do that." And I was like, man, I need to bring that back up, that I need him to have confidence. Like, if we have someone in the company, they have to have confidence. And then like 3 minutes later, we started talking about athletes and what makes people feel like they're part of a brand. And he said, well, people buy apparel because they think they're going to be sponsored by the company. And I was like, no, the average person just buys shoes. And he's like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, if my brother buys Asics, then I guess my brother just buys Asics because he likes Asics. And then he said, I buy Asics because I think within a few months of running an Asics is going to sponsor me. Now, I didn't crush that dream of him thinking he's going to be sponsored by Asics. But what I did say was like, that's it. That's the delusional confidence that I need spread across with the goals of the brand. Like, how you think you're going to be a sponsored runner, I need you to have that same confidence with these goals. And he was like, oh, okay. I remember this vividly now that I'm telling the story.
I also was fully aware of the goal before I decided to move back here and take the position again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's not that I didn't fully
and
believe in the goal.
And January, we had everything working against us. We didn't have restocks. Yeah. We didn't have anything new. We kept our digital ad spend. I'm having a conversation as if like I forgot we're on a podcast. But we had everything working against us in January. Like none of the triggers that we could pull in January we had, right? Like we did a couple little promotions to try to hit our goal, and we still hit our goal with a small digital spend. This month we have less triggers.
I was going to say we have more working
and
against us.
we have less days in the month, but like we're within striking distance, which is crazy. Because I think before we had set those metrics, before we had set those goals, it would have been, we just can't do it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And now it's like, I feel it. I know you feel it. And it's this thing where it's like, no, like we're holding ourselves accountable. I'm doing the same thing with my weight.
Yeah.
Like before the challenge, I'm up 15 pounds. I'm not changing that number. Like I'm still going to hit 239. And like, that's even harder now. But like in life, you need metrics, you need goals, you need to set, ideas of where you're going to progress to. It was the same thing with the relationship mastermind, everything. I think everyone has a tendency of being like, I'm going to get better. And it's like, you need to put KPIs, you need to attach numbers to that, or you're not going to force yourself to get better, because we're doing good this month, and good would be maybe classified as better, but what the fact of the matter is, like, no, we're fucking 5'7" and we're growing to 5'8". Those are real numbers. Yeah. And that's why things like that matter. Yeah. That's why you can't lie about your height.
Damn. And then we just figured out what I do here. Answered the question.
Back end stuff.
Because January for us, we had a number to hit. We hit it. We knew what we were up against setting the goals. It was basically like we set the year goal that we want to hit, and then broke it down monthly with a reasonable trajectory of cool. We know when products are coming, like kind of put all the puzzle pieces together to come up with these numbers. And then January, we had our second biggest January ever. When the brand's been around since 2010. And that was with all of these things. And like, to your point, why goal setting is so important is because I was thinking about this yesterday. I was just kind of thinking about like everything going on. Prior to this year, we never really set sales goals for Flag, which is weird to think about.
Well, I think I looked at it as I didn't want to set sales goals because we're just kind of doing our thing. And I think that's what it's been all along here is we've just been like doing cool stuff. And I think looking back at the last 15 years or however long, doing cool stuff has done a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also sort of screwed a lot of things up. And the hard times come from not being held accountable. Because when I say, hey, we're setting these goals, I think the average person's like, okay, so you're really pressing on your team. No, those start with me. Like they start with how fast I design. Like if I didn't have those aggressive goals, these 2 days here, I wouldn't feel as much pressure. But like I have to get these tech packs done. I got to get the boxes designed. Even like the enamelware set, like it was a rush to get that done. And then the rush to discuss, not the rush, but the urgency and making sure we complete discussing how the enamel set's can be packaged. Because I'm thinking in the past, we've come out with coffee mugs and they're great. And we came out with those coffee mugs and they're great. But now it's like, no. How do we make the customer feel more important? How do we make them feel they trust more? It's like, okay, cool. Better packaging.
Yeah.
What's the delivery going to look like? How do these guys get a further out timeline so they can build out better content? What's the context of what we're trying to do with the video on the front end of these mini docs? And all of a sudden, like everything matters more and there's more urgency up front with how much I invest in the company. And then trickling down to get to the time when it hits you guys and the creative. And then not only that, I mean, the crazy thing is I'm able to now give the back of the house an understanding of like what our daily numbers should be and then what they're going to scale to in November. And now if we say, hey, we're going to do, we'll use an easy number, 100 orders a day. Now we're going to scale to do, 800 orders a day in November. So all of a sudden they can start to look how we're going to build to that. They now know how much everything's coming up. And once again, for 15 years, we didn't do that. We just did what we thought was cool.
Yeah.
And it really limited everyone's growth and gave a bunch of uncertainty in the staff because it was always like, I don't know if this month is going to be crazy.
Yep.
I don't know if this month is going to be calm. And now we have like a solid understanding how to build that foundation and grow on it.
It's that and like why goal setting and kind of planning ahead and always driving with some sort of urgency is important is because when we talk about January, February, March, and we're like, oh, we got everything against us. We have no levers to pull. That stems from decisions made last fucking April. You know what I mean? So like planning out ahead of time, always kind of looking and forecasting ahead, even though like very much in the day-to-day here, it's like, cool, I'm in the weeds.
Yeah.
But then when I get home or on the weekends, it's like, cool, I can expand out or like think differently. And that's kind of why we're at. I had the conversation with Gage and Jordan last week, and Josh, just kind of like explaining why January and February were the way they are, why March is going to start the trend upward, and then why all of a sudden in April, May, June, our sales goals from this the Q1 double. Mm-hmm. It's because there's a lot of thought and what planning goes into it to know like, okay, this is what we need to strive for.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the big things. And talk about like goal setting and regardless of what we set the revenue goal at and all these different things, I always like to bring it back to golf. There's a golf like app or like mindset meditation thing. And one of the things they talk about when setting goals is to set it way beyond your target. Like I forget what the acronym is, but it's like set a crazy ambitious goal. That way you kind of know what you're working toward.
A BHAG?
They have like some weird fucking
Big,
golf.
hairy, audacious goal is BHAG.
Did you add hairy in there? Did I say hairy?
Big, hairy, audacious goal.
I said hairy in there as an adjective?
No, but that's what a BHAG is. That's like
is that a term?
It's like a business term, yeah.
Oh, okay. So wait, so do you have better information on what I'm talking about than my weird golf
I just feel
memory?
like the golf guys who all do business are using business terms in golf.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
I don't know where I was going.
You meditate for golf?
Yeah.
You've meditation apps?
Hmm?
All right. Gage, do you
Golf
have
is
meditation?
very much a mental
I know.
sport.
Oh, listen. Do you have meditation apps for video editing?
I do not, but once I start seeing a cool video, I kind of go down a rabbit hole.
You
of what
meditate
they're
on
making. Yeah, in a way. I guess that's meditation.
Do you meditate?
Is it?
I meditate, but I don't like meditate for design. I set intentions and things like that, but not for design. Maybe I should start meditating more.
Do you have anything you listen to specifically when you design? That like triggers like the.
No, I'll pick like a feeling of what I'm trying to accomplish, you know? So like yesterday when I was designing
I remember how you used to design.
how?
You would listen to the same song on repeat.
Oh yeah. So I fall into a flow.
Just for like hours at a time.
Yeah, I do the sort of the same thing now, but I'll pick a band that I'll pick an album or a band that's kind of all the same. Like it doesn't really take you anywhere. So yesterday for the club tee, which is up there, I was finishing the tech pack yesterday. The club tee, I listened to older Bush albums, like the band Bush from like 1993, because it's I guess grunge, but it never really changes, and
so it can steady.
It's not enough to distract you, so it just stays consistently the same. So I like vibe setting with music, but not having it like go too many different places.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do that.
That's pretty. That's like a form of meditation, right? I'd assume.
I guess
or like
so.
hypnosis.
Designing.
Hypnosis.
Hypnosis. All right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I don't know. I'm loving the blocks of design I have to do right now, and I love coming back with like I have to finish these things.
Yeah.
It's holding me real accountable to be like very focused with my time because I know that I leave tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, and I as much as I want to pretend like I'm going to work while I'm on a car rally, I'm going to vlog. I'm going to sit down every night and edit a vlog, which I'm like 56 days in now, which is crazy. 56 seems like so many until you lay out the entire calendar and you're like,
300
I still have
more.
310 more days to go. Holy moly. But it's getting so much easier. It's really, really good. Like building those storylines in my head.
Yeah.
Like I edit.
The big thing too, with like what you just said and kind of what you talk about on CCV, not to like hard push that, but the calendar perspective, like you knew coming back yesterday was going to be
Red day.
Cool. I'm grinding through it today. Same thing for today so that you can enjoy being on the car rally.
Exactly.
And like being there next week in Cabo and do these different things.
Yeah. And it allows me to structure my goals again. Right. And I think even now, like, I mean, goal setting is everything, dude.
Yeah.
Even the weight goal setting, it's like, it's changed the rally because I know what time I have to wake up. I know that if the guys go out on this car rally and drink at night, like I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
It determines what restaurants I go to. It gives context to everything, you know?
And what are the metrics for I think we talked about a couple episodes ago for the fitness challenge. Like, do you have very particular clear goals that you're going for? I know we said like just abs, but now that you're a little bit closer.
Yeah. I think that looking at myself recently, like I've been training with Dane. I got pretty decent size on. And I was at 250. So I set my goal at 239,
right.
to lose 10 pounds, be 1 pound under that. So that's a metric. I definitely want to get abs out at 239. They should be out at 239.
Yeah. Considering how you look at 250.
Yeah. I was pretty close. So I think that's 11 pounds down is a good weight. Now it's 20. Is it really 26 pounds now?
Yeah, a little work to do.
It really just.
I mean, the challenge doesn't start until Monday. So
I know, and the whole staff's doing it.
Yeah.
Which we need to figure out today. We need to give cash prizes and all sorts of stuff like that.
Big bucks.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah, well, we got to figure out, like, is there a first, second, and third, or how's this going to work?
Yeah, we should probably figure that out before the meeting.
Yeah.
So
we'll figure that out. We'll figure out what it looks like.
So then, to jump back to the goal setting thing, how often are you changing those goals or reassessing? So, like the fitness, for example, after the 8-week challenge is when you're going to say like, all right, I need new fitness goals.
I'm going to stay at 240. So that's my new goal. So my goal up until now was staying at 250. Obviously, this last 4 days, it's water weight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this last 4 days sort of screwed me up. But I've been at 250, 252 all this year.
I was going to say for a while.
So I used last year to set my goal and then get down to a new standard. Because what a lot of people do is they set a goal and it's to get in shape for summer or whatever. You get down to a weight and I've done this, and then you hit that and you celebrate, and then you sort of bounce back up and go back to where you were.
Yeah.
So I'm using that to get myself to a new standard. And I think that even with our goal setting within Flag is like, oh, let's set the new standard of where we're going to be. And then build upon that standard. So yeah, it's just getting down to 240 and then staying there. And obviously if I stay at 240, I'll just get sharper and sharper and sharper.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably stay there for a year. And I think that at my age now, I'm 42 or 41 years old, about to turn 42. I really should be lighter. Like my joints, my back, everything like that. I need to start working down. So, I don't know if we look all the way to 50, but I would assume 50, I'd be more around 220.
Yeah.
So if you want to set goals a little bit further out, it's like, okay, by the time I'm 50 years old, I want to be 220. So what does 220 look like working backwards? And I can set 250, or I can set 200, and next would be 230. Maybe I sit at 240 for 2 years, then I go down to 230, and then 2 more years I go down to 220, and then maybe that's how it lines up. But I've done that exercise a lot where you sort of reverse engineer life.
Yeah.
And I hadn't done it for the longest time, right? Because a lot of people spend the next 5 years looking ahead, and you're like, oh, in 5 years, I want to be here, or I want to, own a house on the beach in Malibu, or whatever people's dreams are, right? And it's always looking 5 years ahead, 5 years ahead. And what a lot of people don't do is like, okay, where do I want to be? Like, what does my life look like at 75 years old? Like, that's like impossible to think about. So, but if you're like, hey, at 75, think of your life all encompassing. So like, hey, I want my, for you, it's like, hey, I want my daughter to be like this. I want this. I want this. And it's like, well, if I look at me at 75 and like, if I picture myself with kids, well, I better fucking start having kids right now, right?
Yeah.
Or like, if I picture my relationship with my brother's kids, like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
I need to take a lot of steps before then. If I'm retired with this, then like you can start to reverse engineer all of that. And I think that people don't do that, because when you break that down, you can then reverse engineer and be like, all right, so if I want to be this when I'm 75 or 60, let's use 60. If I want to be here by the time I'm 60, like if I'm 60 years old and I want to be sailing around the world in a sailboat, let's use that for an example, right? So I have a giant sailboat or a yacht with a staff, and I want to sail from port to port. And when I'm 60, that's what I want to do. And then I want to have a couple home base houses, right? Well, it's like, well, seems like you made a lot of money and you have investments that then provide you for that lifestyle.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Say that looks like, we'll say $200,000 a year of passive income. Okay, cool. Well, if I want $200,000 a year of passive income, as I work backwards, it's like, well, I better get passive at 50 and make sure those things are secure. And if I'm passive at 50, then I go back to 40, and it's like, well, how did I make the money to get those investments to start working towards that? And all of a sudden you can start building out your life backwards. So I think a lot of people don't do that because you don't realize how much time you have.
Yeah.
And if you look at 60, it's like, well, my parents are gone at 60, right? That's 20 years from now. There is no fucking way my parents are going to live 20 more years. So then you start realizing that from 50 to 60, I don't have my parents. And that's guaranteed. They could die tonight, who knows?
Yeah.
But like guaranteed from 50 to 60, I don't have my parents. And from 50 to 60, if I'm looking at Drew's kids, they're like 18 years old, finding themselves. So like, I don't have them in my life. And all of a sudden, like, you can really look at the future and figure out what it looks like. And you work back and you're like, okay, so 40 to 50, what's all these different things? If I want to build a really solid relationship and help mold his kids to an extent, then like, I know what the next 10 years looks like. If I want to start sailing and doing all those things, it's like, well, I need different investments that's going to allow me to do that. Or I can keep being a designer or whatever it is. And you can really work backwards. And that's the same thing that we did with the goal setting.
Yep.
We said, hey, this is the number that we want to hit. And it's a number that we just pulled out of our ass, kind of, right?
Yeah.
It's a number that I feel like the brand should be at. And then we started to work backwards. And we said, well, January can't be crazy because let's just set it as the best January ever. And then we have 3 months of the same number, and then it slowly starts to scale. And the complicated part is, in order to hit our goal within a year, now it's easier in 30 years or 20 years, but to hit our goal in a year, we were like, shit, man, December is huge. Like, because if December's in order to hit that, like a bunch of numbers were left over in December, a bunch of digits. And it's like, well, they can't fall in February because we slowly have to sort of ramp up. And the only way to get there was to reverse engineer it and then build it out. And now we're fully aware that like, oh, Black Friday or or holiday season, whatever we call it, is going to be wild.
Yeah.
And that's me right now. Like right now I have to dial Black Friday. We need to figure out, our winter collection. There's quantities we have to bring in. And the other crazy thing is we have to bet on ourselves.
Yeah.
Like a business plan isn't set in stone. When someone's like, oh, we're going to scale 20% this year. It's like, well, are you? Because it's easy to write that down.
Yeah.
But, the same thing. It's like, I'm going to hit 239. It's like very easy to say. But then when I'm in Vegas on Friday night at a private table and they're like, here's vodka. Like, the vodka is not that many calories. It's the decisions I make after the vodka where I'm like, I'm going to eat a whole pizza. And I wake up the next morning, I'm like, wow, I had a goal and it's gone, right?
I mean, what you just said there, like betting on yourself is huge, right?
Oh, 100%.
Like I said, and to call it back to like us having the conversations about the goals and all that, before I decided to come back here full time, we had a conversation on the phone. I was sitting in my golf simulator at home, like on the couch. We were having the conversation and you started telling me like what the new goals are for Flag this year and beyond. And I was like, damn, that's a ride I want to be on.
Yeah.
Like hearing you talk about it made me believe like he's going to do it.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
Regardless of it being almost 3 times the yearly revenue from the year before.
I remember telling you as if like, we're going to do it whether you come or not.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you want to be on this ride, I would love to have you, but this is what we're going to do.
Yeah. And that I think like the confidence you had in like, no, we're doing it. Yeah. And then like us talking through it's like, then I'm like, damn.
Yeah. And
we are going to do it.
Dude, and that goes back to trust, right?
Yeah.
Like you trusted me at that moment.
Yeah.
And I think circling back all the way to the relationship mastermind, I got that question a lot and it was like, hey, my wife doesn't believe in me as much as your wife believes in you.
Was it just real quick? Was it all like entrepreneur people?
I mean, the price tag was the price tag.
So it was mostly like business owner couples, but it relates to everybody.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing about these events was the price tag super high? It depends, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to go out in Cabo and you're
super high is relative to
do
the
all
person.
do all the things that we did. No, it was actually the price really made sense.
Exactly.
But Rob Bailey 10 years ago would have looked at the like, that is crazy. Yeah. So it wasn't out of control. It also wasn't my event.
Yeah.
But so everyone there is business minded, right? Especially if you're going somewhere to really try to work on your relationship and you're doing it in Cabo, the chances are you're also trying to work on other aspects of your life.
Yeah.
So all business oriented people, I don't know to the extent. Now, there always is the questions of like, how do I get my wife to like believe in me as much as like your wife believes in you? Because they see that. They're like, Rob has all the craziest ideas and Dana's just like, hell yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, you need to prove it to him.
Yeah.
And which proving it to him is what makes them trust you, right? So it's going back to us, like you've seen me do wild things and the look in my eye or how I talk about it where you're like, oh, he's actually going to do this thing.
Yeah.
And then you hear me say other things where you're like, oh, he's not going to do that. Like he's just brainstorming right now or he's just talking shit. He's not actually going to do that. I think that a lot of that goes back to the trust in yourself. Like there's the thought of, are we actually going to do this thing? Like, is he going to do this? Does he actually mean it? And then also, is he capable?
Yeah.
And those are, I think, the 2 factors that make someone trust you.
And those come over time being very deliberate with how you spend time with, because, and I mean, I don't want to turn this into like our previous relationship. I know people are dying to hear about it, but in the same way we're talking right now, you and I had a conversation last August when you and I first talked for the first time after 10 months or whatever. And to be honest, I don't think I've ever said this, so I don't know how this might backfire on me. We had a conversation on that call. We hung up and I was like, I'm probably never going to talk to him again. Like the way he's wording and saying the things he's saying right now, I don't know if it's true. And I didn't like fully believe it. And it was like, we were both too much on the defense and like feeling, it was the first time we talked after 11 months and our final conversation wasn't amazing. So it was like cool. And I felt like we were both trying to figure each other out. And I was like, I don't know if he's flexing right now or he's telling the truth, but this doesn't feel right. Now,
okay, I remember. It took me a while to place it.
That was August of 2 years ago. So before I worked remote for 6 months, that was prior to that. And then 3 months later, we talked again. And that's where we talked. And I was like, cool, we actually just had a conversation.
Yeah.
That was when we talked for 3 hours the week before Black Friday. I was like, cool. I said everything I wanted to say. You said it. And I actually believe everything you said on that call. And it wasn't that the first call I didn't believe it. It was just like, we both knew we were trying to feel each other
It's
out.
the same thing, the delusional confidence thing, right? And I think that is what I asked you to have about the goal setting this year. It's like, dude, I ask myself to have that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, is to frame your brain in the right. And I remember that first conversation, and I was seeing things in our marketing department. I was seeing things all over that didn't seem right, but I was like, I need to just...
It's exactly what it was.
Like, I need to lead these, and I need to believe in these people, and I need to, like, they say they're doing it, and I'm doing everything I can, and we're all doing the damn thing. And it was like, no, everything is headed in the right direction. But I think you could tell that I wasn't sure, but I fully believed that, no, everything is good. We're doing it. And then obviously that one Black Friday when everything blew up. I mean, that was the, okay, I'm standing on a house of cards, and the things that people told me were getting done absolutely were not getting done. And then I uncovered all of that. And that's what made me realize. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm not quite the CEO I want to be yet. Yeah. Right. Like, just because I have departments and the departments say we're seeing in our government right now is Elon's popping in and saying like, hey, is this actually what's happening? Everyone's like, yeah. And he's like, prove it. And they're like, oh no. And that's what I had. I had this big structure, and I'm not funded by tax dollars. I'm funded by real, purchases and relationship with employees. And I think that once again, that was a beautiful thing to go through. And sort of realize that the departments that I had set up weren't real. They were just departments and people were sitting in them. So that sort of had to burn to the ground and then like completely restructure. And, it's crazy to think, and I remember having this thought a few times during that period because everything seemed fine. I had this structure. Black Friday was sort of the catalyst to everything exploding and realizing that like the positions I had weren't doing what they said they were doing, which means nothing was working. So left me sort of flat on my face all over again. And I remember thinking like, dude, I've been doing this for 16 years and like, what the hell? And like talking to other business owners and them being like, yeah, that's how it works. And it's like, yeah, but should it work like that?
It just doesn't feel like it shouldn't.
I think that, I don't know if it's a humility or whatever it is, but just a feeling like mad, being like, I've worked so hard on this and like, this is not how it should be. And I came out of that and it took me a little while to figure it out. I was like, oh, no. Like, it's always going to be like this. Like, I always just have to show up and fight. And I think that's the meaning of Flag Nor Fail. And that's what the brand was started on, right? It's no surrender, no failure, take control of your life. Everyone related it to fitness right away, but it wasn't about fitness. It was about Rob and Dana being in a house, feeling like this isn't it. Like, this isn't our house. This isn't my life. I can't take you out to dinner. We're not doing the things we want to do. Like, the only cool thing in our life right now is the fact that we go to the gym together. And we want to build this really amazing life with this ridiculous dream. And we're going to refuse to fail because we're not going to stop. And we're never going to just roll over on our stomach and surrender. And we want to create a brand that is built for that. And I shall not flag nor fail was just, that's the motto. Like, that was the thing that, as silly as it is, words on t-shirts sometimes are silly, but like the fact that I was able to take what I need to hear, print it on a t-shirt, and then see it in the mirror and be like, hell yeah, like hustle harder. Like, look in the mirror and it just says hustle hard. And it's like, that's what I needed. I needed to see that. And I needed to create this brand to constantly encourage myself to like, yeah, let's actually make the life that we want. And if it helps other people, it helps other people. And I think that's the really dope thing about the underlining message of I shall not flag nor fail. It's not just something that you say out there. Like it's truly the framework for life and it stands for something.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's where like everyone's favorite shirts were just sayings that you needed to hear or that you thought people wanted to hear or read to themselves. The hustle harder, the work, hustle, kill, the never sleep, the balance, all the different little, when I think Flag Never Found, I think like those early days of graphic tees, I think of those shirts, right?
Yeah.
Just because they hit.
Yeah.
Everyone loved them. And then they all just had really strong messages behind them.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, fuck balance. I mean, we could talk for 6 hours on that right now, but the message you delivered, the story you delivered behind it is what made it resonate with people.
Yeah. And I think that's the great thing. And I think when people want the older stuff, it's like, oh no, we're building that into the apparel now.
Yeah.
We're not, we're doubling down on the quality or the shorts that allow you to do those things.
Yeah.
It's apparel that's not going to get in your way. It's going to help you towards that. When before it was just a print on a t-shirt and a simple word, but now, we're trying to build the apparel that assists you in doing that. Right.
Yeah.
And
some of them graphics are so good though.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they were good.
Like you don't miss any, like just,
no.
I think just big graphic tees are kind of out. And that's kind of why it's
so
not,
big graphic tees are out.
Right.
And then I think that the brand has grown. And the reason I don't feel the miss for the older super wild graphic tees is because I'm so in it in the design process. So that same energy has just been transferred to like, let's make that lightweight hoodie as good as we can.
Yeah.
So when I'm out getting it in life, like when I'm in Alaska taking my dad fishing and like, the only thing I want to think about is I'm creating this moment with my dad, and I've already put the time into creating this perfect hoodie that is just for that moment. Like I don't need the words on a shirt anymore to remind me. It's actually the fabric and the apparel and the
act of doing
the fit of it, right?
Yeah.
Like the overalls. Like I don't need a shirt that says like get outside and take control of your life. Like we could make that shirt. Like,
and it would crush.
Get outside and take control of your life. No, I'm making the overalls that fit you so well that when you put on, it shows your physique. It shows how well you put together. It has all the right pockets. It has the durability. So when you're out there doing it, you feel all those things.
Yeah.
Like the overalls show off your hamstrings. The overalls, the cut keeps your waist super small. It makes it. It's a deeper meaning. So do I miss the t-shirts? No. Like there's so much effort being put into the development of the products that's where all of the attention is. And, there's people that aren't going to know the older graphic tees and aren't going to, but we come out with stuff like the Anthem stuff and it does have the bigger prints and everything like that. And we drive the message home through all the media. But what I want is, I want people that aren't interested in big graphic tees because they're not in to put on those shorts and be like, damn, dude, I feel like taking control of my life. I feel like doing things in these shorts. These shorts make me want to work out more. These shorts make me want to, run or whatever they make you want to do. Like you put them on, you feel like an athlete.
Yeah.
I want to do that. It's deeper than just big words on a
Face
t-shirt.
value shit. Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I love the progression of it all. I absolutely love it.
I'm excited to start getting some of the new stuff in.
Yeah. It's going to show up like a fucking freight train.
Yeah.
It really is. Cause there's so many, even coming back and going over the 4 different samples the stuff we did yesterday. Yeah. The stuff that we did yesterday, there is the collaboration t-shirt. There's the club tee being redone. There's the new colorways. There's the new camo. Right? There's the new camo that's going to come out in men's and women's. There's the North Fork hoodie. There's this set right here that just came, our new wash set for the girls, which we then decided to do also for the guys. There's the enamel set that I just wrapped up. There's all the keychains and tchotchkes and stuff like that we just did. Like that's all, being that that's all wrapped up now, we're like 2 months, 3 months away from like stuff really starting to hit. Yeah. So I'm excited, man. This is going to be a big year. Even new overall colors, the development on the Oscar pants. Like I think the Oscar pants are a great example. I love that they're hung here because it's like, what I've been listening to the podcast for, 2 months now.
9 episodes.
And like, you're still just talking about these pants. And it's like, yeah, we do things different.
Yeah.
Like if we just sent out a pair of pants and said, copy these, yeah, they'd be done right now. We'd be 1 month out from release.
Yeah.
But you know, that's not what I want to do. Like I want to make sure that these fit the way that I want them to fit. You know, they're close. We could send them right now, but we're working on the next round of samples because I want them to be perfect, man. Yeah. And that's why the overalls hit so well. That's why everyone that buys the overalls says, like, dude, these are the best ever. I'm like, yeah, I know it. It was a year. It was a long year of developing those.
Yeah, and then what feels to be a really long time of us waiting to get them back in stock.
Well, it's because everybody wants them so much.
Yeah,
you know.
But when they're listening to this podcast,
we'll see.
They should be fully restocked.
They should be.
Should be. If not, right now when you're listening to this, if you're one of the early listeners, at least give us till noon on Friday, and they should be.
I hope they sell out instantly.
That'd be sick.
I kind of want them to sell out instantly, and I kind of want them to like trickle out.
Yeah.
Because the following order still, we just can't keep them in stock, man.
Yeah.
They're too good.
And I mean, to your point of what we're talking about with like the messaging on, when I eat, I don't even have to put them on. The first time I put them on, I was like, damn, I need to do shit. But now even when I go into my closet and I see, because I have the overalls, they don't really like, I have them hanging on a thing. So like they're kind of presented there every day. I was like, I need something to do in these.
You need something to do.
Yeah, like I wanted that,
and that's
shit.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like that's what we want to make with the apparel is not you see a t-shirt and you're like, oh, I need to hustle harder today. I'll wear the hustle harder t-shirt.
Yeah.
No, I want to make apparel that like you're like, damn, I want to do outdoor things.
What can I do in these?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's where we're at. We got the Anthem stuff releasing next week, bunch of new colorways, and then overalls restocking. And I mean, we dropped a lot of good different stuff.
I'm going to call Elon Musk.
Friday. Why?
I'm going to tell him you lied on your license.
Oh, don't out me to Elon.
I'm going to have to.
I heard Elon's a fraud. That's what they tell me at lunch.
Who told you that?
Jordan and Josh.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, so they heard that from what?
I don't know.
Do you know I had a conversation about Elon the other day?
Oh, with them?
No. With a direct contact.
What do you mean? Direct contact like of Elon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He works with them. He meets with them once a week. Or no. Yeah, once a week.
Are you going to get in trouble for saying that?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say.
Don't say it.
No, I can give somewhat context. I'm not going to give the guy's name. But apparently he meets with, so sort of how Elon recaps the week, or it might be a month, but he meets with him, right? And what he does is Elon comes in and he says, you know, what are the 3 biggest limiting factors that are stopping you from growing right now? Mm-hmm. And you're like, well, this is stopping me, this is stopping. And this like sort of screwed me up. It's been messing with my brain ever since then.
So this is Elon saying to this guy that you met?
Yeah, this guy is in charge of...
you don't have to...
Yeah, he's in charge of something, right? So Elon comes in and he says, hey, what are the 3 things that are completely stopping you right now, right? And they give a list of like, okay, well, this personnel, we can't figure out this programming, and then this is what will stop you from 10xing your progress right now, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe it's once a month. What's stopping you from 10xing your progress right now? So like sort of the same thing that we would be asked, like what's stopping us from 10xing? And it's like inventory, new product design, warehouse space, right? Those are our 3 things. Yeah. So he says that he gives Elon the list of the 3 things, and then Elon vanishes for like 24 hours and comes back with solutions to 2 of them. Like, and this guy specifically apparently is saying that like, I've never seen anyone's brain work like that.
Yeah.
And I think, and you know this, right? We can all hate on the Kardashians, but the fact of the matter is they're still billionaires. They're still super famous.
Yeah.
And I think it's really easy to look at someone like Trump or look at Elon when you're an average guy from Montana and be like, he's a fraud.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you can look at me and say, I'm a fraud. You can look at any of these people and say that, oh, that guy's a fraud, but you're still at the bottom looking at the guy on the top.
Yeah. Everyone's something until they're not.
Yeah. And then also like fraud, okay, like
I don't know if the
no,
word
because I've been hearing that a lot.
Yeah.
They're like, well, he didn't actually even invent SpaceX.
That was kind of like that was the exact statement.
Yeah, you think he's welding rockets? No, he's assembled a team of 1,000 like scientists that are building rockets. You're still in charge of the whole thing.
Yeah,
but that's something that's really hard to understand,
Yeah.
right? Like it's hard to understand like really solid art direction, or it's really hard to understand the guy that can't golf well, but he can teach you your golf swing. Like he's still a great golf
Same
coach.
thing in bodybuilding. Like the best coaches
I know.
might not
Well, you
be
look
in
at Hani.
shape. Yeah.
Like Hani's in shit shape. And it's really easy to look at Hani and be like, that dude doesn't even look like he lifts. And it's like, yeah, but he's also coached every single bodybuilder that's won forever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Does that mean he's a fraud? Like, well, I'd rather if Hani was in better shape, but he's focused on making other people in shape. So
Yeah.
I think there's a healthy balance between that. But of course he's not the one going in, but he's picked people like Big Balls that go in and like they're ripping apart the government.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been praying for since I realized what the government was. When I started listening to punk rock music, like, and I'll finish on this. When I started listening to punk rock music when I was 13 years old, everything was like, fuck the government, like all the Rage Against the Machine and everything. And I was just like, the government's corrupt. It needs to be audited. It needs to be torn down. Like it's not here for us. Now, all the other punk rock people have grown up and they went the other way, and they want the government to call them, they want to call the government daddy and be like, oh, we give us more rules, daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Like these fucking, I almost said my favorite word there, but like the Green Days and all that, like the most embarrassing frauds that I've ever seen in my life. Like these bands that have went so far in the other direction of like true punk rock and true metal, and they want to get vaccinated and they want to get cards that prove you're vaccinated, like all that silly stuff. And like my punk rock days of 13 years old, like I'm seeing it all happen right now. Like wild men walking into the government saying, show us what you do. Show us where the money went. Show us the receipts. Like they're taking our fucking tax dollars and they're doing whatever with it. And it's unaccounted for. Shit that I would never be okay with. It's obviously just money laundering, and they're like blowing it up. Like all my punk rock dreams of 13 years old when I started to understand what the government are like coming true.
That's
now.
because
It's so rad.
all the 13-year-olds are now old, 40-year-old capable people of making
Not
things happen,
all of them.
right? Or
There's people like, a lot of my punk rock friends, it's like they now are the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Like they're delusional losers. Now they're all, dare I say, broke and like fat. They haven't taken
are
control
we
of
gonna
their
have to
life.
cut all this out?
No, leave this in. They haven't taken control of their life, right? Like they're not living great lives. They're fucking losers. And they're sitting there being like, now Elon has our social security number. And it's like, hey, remember when you signed up to PayPal and you gave him your social in 1998? Like he already has it, bro. He also doesn't need your social. So anyway, that's enough about that. Hey, I had to get to work.
Flag nor fail. That's it, just the word. I saw it on your fucking bottle and I was trying to think of where to go with the topic.
There's nowhere to go.
Oh, man.
All right. We have a lot of work to do today.
Yeah, we do.
Say good night, Dana.
Good night, Dana.
What was that button?
Rim shot.
Rim shot?
It's the closest one to my hand. Sorry. Good night, Dana.
I thought you were going to like dial those.
Later. With my other back end stuff.
So busy working on back end stuff. All right, we're out of here.